Hey, I'm Sarah. This is Behind the Design, and I'm sharing my top 3 favorite design features in each room from Sarah Off the Grid Season 2.
I'm Sarah, and this is Behind the Design. I want to talk about the mudroom and the powder room, and I want to talk about some of the behind the scenes elements here. First of all, I'm going to start with something super simple. You see this peg rack. This is made from a piece of an old handrail that I bought years ago. I paid $25 for it. And I came up with this idea. I thought, you know what I could do? I could turn this into a really great hanging rack for coats just inside the mudroom door. So one day I said to one of the carpenters, hey, do you have anything, is there anything kicking around the site? Because when I'm on a job site, I'm always trying to use up all of the leftovers. And Josh literally looked down and he kicked the ground through some leaves and he pulled out an old broom handle and he said, oh, you mean something like this? And I said something exactly like that. So he took this old broom handle and he chopped it into pieces. Then he whittled it to make each of those pieces fit. And presto, within half an hour, I had this really awesome, authentic, rustic hook board that it's amazing because it's practical and it's useful, but I didn't have to go out and buy hooks. I got to make it just with the things I found on site. That is the kind of DIY project I absolutely love. Next favorite feature is, I'm gonna say it's the color in the powder room. This is a very intense color of green. And I completely understand that this color of green is not for everyone. But Tommy and I have a theory on powder rooms. Tommy says you're in a powder room for a good time, not a long time. You should feel empowered in a powder room to make more bold and more daring choices than you might otherwise make, let's say, in the living room. Take a look around. The living room is the key space. It is the principal room on this floor, and it is all muted, soft grays. However, the powder room, hey, the door closes, you're in a room the size of a small closet, so why not experiment? Be bold. It's a can of paint, or quite frankly, I think it was half a can of paint. So I went with a very, very, very bold green. Why, you ask? What made me choose this? Well, it was June. Tommy was away traveling in Ireland. Meanwhile, I was covered in dust and dirt on a construction site. Don't cry for me. I was having a good time. However, he was jaunting around Europe and I was working, so I decided that I would bring a little of Ireland to the powder room. And I chose what I felt was a really classic Irish green. It's called Therapeutic Green, and I think it's a great color. So I want you to think about being bold in your powder room, because should I decide that that green is not the color, all I have to do is buy a half a can of paint. Sadly, you can't buy half a can of paint, so I have to buy a can of paint. And then I can change it. I can make it any color I want, any color in the rainbow. One of the things that's super important to me is the intersection of practicality and attention to detail. And I think that I need to have that in everything I do. So in terms of practicality, the stone I chose to install on the mudroom floor is super durable, not super expensive, and it's a deep charcoal stone. But then I thought, I need to have some pattern. I need this to be a little bit more lively, a bit more interesting. So I paired that stone with black, and I had the black cut into strips, making a 2-inch wide band. Then I took those 2-inch wide bands and I used them to create stripes. So it's a line of charcoal gray, full-size tiles, followed by a line of these 2 by 24 inch long strips, followed by a line of gray and a line of black. And this is really simple, but this is the thing. I walk in and I look down, this makes me smile. And to the end of time, I will always, always, always invest the time in taking the affordable and the practical and then giving it just a little bit of a lift. That's what I want you to think about. How can you save and buy good materials that are easy to work with, and then give it just that little splurge, something that just takes it and elevates it and makes it look unique and different, and that gives it that sense of personality that makes it uniquely you. Because this is my house, but I want your house to look only like you. I want it to be fresh and different and unique.